We got the rear end in there. Unfortunately, the spring plates off of the S10 didn't have the shock pins in the right place, but I'm gonna cut these off of the Samurai plates and weld them on in the right place over there. Okay, that was nothing compared to the hacking that Steve's about to do. You're not really gonna do that with that gas tank right there, are you?
I couldn't find the guys to get rid of it.
Oh, well then go ahead.
So our front axle is pretty much disabled, but the pumpkin head of the axle carrier itself is interfering with our pulley on suspension travel. In other words, the axle hits the engine. So I can just kind of prune back the offending part, and then it should give us plenty of clearance. And I don't think it'll substantially weaken the unit.
I think it's pretty good.
Okay, great. Here, let me quench that with some water.
Last thing I have to do for the rear end here is put these shock studs back on the spring plates, but unfortunately, I only have the old school non-self-dimming welding helmet. This looks like Gort the Machine. You ever see that movie? I'm not gonna be great at welding with one hand while I'm holding this to my face because there's no strap. You know, Finnegan would take the time to make this weld perfect. He's not here. Can't see anything I'm doing. Okay, shocks are done. Ready to go for the world's shortest drive shaft. Look at that. Boom, there we go. That's gonna be just about perfect. So the last thing we have to do to make the rear end work is we're gonna actually plumb rear brakes that we didn't have before. Steve is messing around with trying to make throttle linkage and a throttle valve cable for the torque flight.
With the 440 and 727 automatic transmission combination that we have in our Suzuki Samurai, the transmission has to know what's going on right here at the carburetor. And as the carburetor throttle increases, the transmission needs to get a mechanical signal of what's going on, and that's done through the kickdown linkage. I've got this aftermarket kickdown cable. It's not a direct bolt-in this case, so I'm making this little extension. As the throttle is pulled back, the lever will pull the cable forward. It's going to go through these two holes. That'll work the throttle linkage.
All right, we got the rear end in, the shocks in, the drive shaft in, and now we have the luxury of rear brakes, which we didn't have the first time we put the Samurai together because I had cut through some lines. But this time, I'm gonna make it happen. Can't believe you're still working on that throttle linkage. I'm moving on to headlights and wiring and stuff.
It's complex.
You're way behind schedule, bro. It had no headlight wiring, and the headlights, where the backs of them were broken off, so I got new bulbs here. I think it's time to go to the list. Super Sammy, round 2. Okay, we handled the rear axle, which also means shocks and drive shaft. Handled. Cooling, remember it overheated really bad last time? That's handled. Rewire, because it caught on fire, handled. We need new rear wheels because the S10 rear end has a different wheel bolt pattern than the Samurai. What else can you think of that we need to do, Dulcich?
I think that's everything. Hit the road.
Oh, fuel cell.
And then hit the road. What I'm working on here is not a toolbox, is our gas tank. You mount this box and it bolts in here. So the gas tank's in, it's plumbed all the way up to the thermoquad carburetor. I'm gonna pour some gas in there and then I'm ready to start at 440.